And we're back. It is the second match of the Commoner Cup. I, of course, am Matt.
I'm Jamie.
And we are excited to get this started for you. But we have two great opponents today, I would say. We have Courtney, who is playing Prism, versus Jim, who's playing Oldhim.
Yeah, should be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, what do you think? Who do you think would win this one?
It's hard to say. I would probably give it to Oldhim on the breakers, but we'll see what kind of strategy the Prism player is putting forward.
All right, well, with that being said, they're starting to roll those dice. Let's go in and tune into the action.
I mean, this is an interesting matchup. I'm an old Prism player myself.
Yeah.
And playing Oldhim. It's interesting because you never really got to see the power of Iris of Reality because Luminaris is just so powerful.
Luminaris is very powerful. It's kind of what made Prism, to be honest. Like what's interesting about Commoner Prism is it feels completely different from any other Prism play with Classic Constructed and Blitz. So I enjoy it because it actually attacking for 4 go again with your auras is huge.
And it kind of reminds me of Dromai a little bit in that all the auras really are rare or higher, like Dromai. So you got to focus pretty much only on Spectral Shields, just like in Commoner, Dromai only makes Ash Wings. So
right.
you get really rewarded for them. You know, attacking for 4 go again for a blue pitch is a nice.
It's huge, especially if you build your deck around the blue pitch. You could be able to attack three times, 2 aura. If you have 2 spectral shields out and be able to use another card, you'll be able to do massive damage, which is huge. Of course, we also have Oldhim. Oldhim is also very interesting in Commoner because I feel like it doesn't get use of a lot of its big Guardian hit cards. It's more of smaller Guardian cards, and so it feels more aggro-y and it's very interesting. I don't know how I feel about it.
So it kind of reminds me of Telsvaria Draft, right? Whereas Oldhim, you kind of wanted to go get every card that's a 3-cost 7 attack, and then get some D reacts and some blocks, and your goal is kind of spend 2 cards to block and then 3 for 7 you. And that's a above rate, a 3 for 7. So you're hoping to just wear somebody down over time. And then I do believe our Oldhim player is playing Pummels as well. Oh, he is playing the Thump list.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
Thump.
Yeah,
Thump Oldhim.
So Thump is a card from Tales of Aria that if you buff its power, it gets Dominate, and if it hits, they have to discard a card.
Mm-hmm.
So Hand Disruption is king in this game, and especially in Commoner. It does a lot.
It does. It's really cool to be able to see how many pummels or Razor Reflexes we see in this format, because it just adds so much to the game. If it's just I have to discard a card because I got pummeled or things like that. It's huge.
Yeah, it completely ruins your turn. And it's kind of surprising, too, considering how many people run the Sink Belows and Fate Foreseens. It seems like most decks just throw those in because of the common pool being what it is. And it's amazing to see those attack reactions still have legs, despite almost everyone running D-reacts.
Absolutely.
Which just isn't the case in CC.
Yep. So I think we saw the die roll there. I didn't quite pick up who was going first, but we'll see who puts on the first card here on what's going on. It looks like it's going to be the Prism player.
Yeah, it's a tricky position because you do not want to let a Guardian player go first just because they have so many options for Dominate. Oldhim naturally has less, but you don't want to just let them get free damage in.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a lesson that I learned the other day versing Remley yesterday, is I let him go first. So
Yes. And it's I'm finding it more and more in Flesh and Blood where it is today that I actually prefer going second in most matchups because you're the person who gets to push damage first.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see that in a couple matches later. Ended up being pivotal in the Gasaimir match.
Oh, yes. I'm excited for everyone to be able to watch that. That's a little sneak peek for you to see kind of what will be coming up in the future. So we have, looks like...
An early helmet activation to put a light card into soul to draw a card.
Yep.
Charging that soul early to get ready.
Which is great. I like that. I like that move for the first round. It's awesome. What's really interesting about the player is Courtney's only played 3 times now. This is the 3rd night that Courtney has played. Playing Prism, so it's kind of cool to be able to see them live on stream, and surprisingly they've actually been doing really, really well. Getting wins every single week is huge for a new player.
Oh, absolutely. And people sleep on Prism. I really like that she's playing Prism because people are like, oh, you can't play Prism without Luminaris, and that's simply not true. It's a different play style, but looks like that's a Spears of Surreality, which is just a natural go again.
Yep.
Illusionist attack.
And then we have the break for Phantasm.
We're going to be seeing that a lot in this match.
Yeah, absolutely. Wish they had the ghostly touch. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so I'm excited to see what now the Oldhim player will be able to bring to the table.
What chess piece is Courtney running?
Hard and cross straps.
Okay.
Yep, it's allowed here in Commoner.
Excellent. Get that free Herald attack at the end of your turn.
Yep. We see a
Come to fight.
Come to fight, and a thump.
So +3, and now that thump has dominate and discard a card on hit.
Oof.
Brutal. And that's another card, Come to Fight. It's a 1 for +3, 2, or 1, depending on pitch value, and blocks for 3, which is uncommon for a non-attack.
Yep. It's coming in for 8, by the way, on that thump. So thank you, Jim, for putting dice on the cards.
Jim, always a friendly player.
Yep. In the local format, he's one of the best. So I don't know if Courtney, not one of the best. You're one of the best players, Jamie. But I mean, one of the best.
He's a great guy to play against.
Yes, absolutely.
He's very patient, willing to explain things.
Yep. We got a defense reaction for the dominate, so blocking 4 of that damage, taking 4, and still we'll have to discard a card, unfortunately. So we'll see what that is. Looks like it's going to be staunch response. Is that what that is? It's a D-react.
Yeah, interesting why she didn't play that.
You have to pitch into it, so you might want to keep a 2-card hand, which makes sense, right?
Right, that does make sense.
Yeah, because you only have 1 card, but they do have a card in Arsenal, so they could have still been able to do something with their other card. So that is interesting.
It is also kind of because both of these decks are kind of do one thing per turn. Other than if Prism has Spectral Shields, then she can like attack with those and then do her 1 Herald.
Yep.
So I think this game, unfortunately, will come down to the fact that her 7 attacks can get blocked by 1 card, whereas Jim Oldham's 7 attacks cannot block by 1 card.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. It is true. Like you can't block It's harder for Prism in this matchup 100%. But I do think if you build up those Spectral Shields and be able to do those go-again actions, it'll be harder for Jim in a lot of aspects. So
yeah, and the Prism player does have the gloves to sneak in 1 Herald without Phantasm, which can be a big deal.
Yep. We have another Spears of Serality attacking for 5 go again. I think it attacks for 5, right?
The red one, I do believe.
So 5 go again for that, or 4. That could be a yellow too, because I know Prism likes running yellows.
Luminar's Prism does.
Right. For sure.
It created an interesting dynamic around the color pitch stripes, you know? You had Prism with the yellows, and now you have Dromai with the reds. It kind of, everyone was always just like, reds are best for attack and blues are best for pitch, you know?
Yeah.
Don't want really yellows, but that changed that.
We have 2 block that looks like it blocks out the damage there, and then into a Herald of Wartune Herald. It looks like Jim is taking that 6 damage from that yellow Wartune Herald, and it goes right into the soul, which is great.
That is an important buffer to build your soul, which seems to be harder to build in Commoner.
Yeah.
And you can't beat Wartune Heralds. They only cost 1, so.
Yeah, Wartune Herald, it might be the best looking Herald, to be honest. I really like the art for that.
I do too. I like a lot of the Herald's art, the whole angelic theme. I like the diverse artwork in Flesh and Blood in general.
Yeah.
I like both the Shadow and the Light heroes. Monarch was just a set out of this world.
Oh, Monarch was really, really good. And hopefully we see that soon in the future. I know we won't get it in Dynasty probably, but the next one will probably have some more Shadow and Light stuff. So.
I'm hoping.
Yeah. We have a hammer coming in. Anthros, I think it's what's called. Anathos. I always kind of think of Star Fox. Andros. For some reason, every time I see the hammer,
and it's an interesting choice for Oldhim instead of the whole Winter's Bite. I guess because the common shield, isn't that great.
Yeah.
But Anathos, you always got to watch out for with the. It gets bigger if you have 2 cards in pitch that I believe cost more than 3.
Yep.
So you could do the tricky attack with it, and then pitch another card to pummel it, and suddenly it goes up to like 10 or 11 attack.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
That's cool. I didn't realize that the attack reactions actually work like that to be able to boost up the base attack of the hammer. So that's cool.
That's
it's
really
just cool.
Constantly checking.
I like that. That's really cool. Now we see Prism up. probably got a couple heralds in their hand, and so we're going to definitely see a herald of something of some sorts show up there. But we haven't seen a spectral shield get made yet, so hopefully we'll be able to see that happen. And there you go. Look at that. What are the odds of that? What are the odds of that? That was very cool. So we got a spectral shield coming out into the field.
And people underestimate the 1 damage block of spectral shields. It throws off all those breakpoints, and they're so good. Even with Luminaris, when they only attack for 1, it's a very powerful tool in your kit.
Absolutely. We have a pitch attacking 2 resources remaining or not. I have no idea. What are they pitching for? For the shield? To attack for 4. Go again.
4 go again. Let's go. He's like, is that what Iris does? What? Nobody knows what this card does.
Iris is good. It gets slept on.
Yeah.
I'd like to see it. Well, never mind. We can't see a CC Prism with Iris anymore. So.
I know. I wanted to see it. I think I ran across one in a skirmish as like a troll deck, but it was in Blitz format at Olympus, and the gentleman with it actually went like 3-2 with it.
Oh
Blitz.
wow!
It was kind of like, ooh, interesting.
Yeah, it is frightening. 4 go again's no joke. It's a breaking point and everything. Now we have a Herald of Tenacity. As far as I can see, attacking for 6, I believe.
And it gets popped.
A popped Herald.
Like a balloon. You hate to see it.
Hate to see it.
But I mean, it is, even though you're trading 1 for 1, and it is difficult in this format where you can't pad your deck with a sideboard, getting those high value attacks sometimes works out, you know? Like, that's a potential 10 dominate that he blocked with.
Yeah, absolutely. But what's also really, like, you're right, and also, like, sometimes when you draw your cards, you're only getting rid of your highest attack. So, like, you're like, man, I have to lose this big card, and it makes you really think about, like, is it worth being able to pop with that?
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Especially, like, especially in the bigger formats with Command and Conquer and stuff, you could be like, I need this card to take care of whatever's in that arsenal.
Yeah. And then you also got to worry about the how good is your weapon. Yeah. Right, because when you start running out of good red attacks, well, Anathos is great. Yeah. But Iris of Reality doesn't do anything on its own.
Yep. We see a Hearted Kostrap come out. We do see a Come to Fight. And so we do get to see now another thump come out. I think that's a blue thump. So we're going to be able to see another 8 come towards it. Or 7. 7 come out.
7 dominate.
Yep. And discard a card if it hits.
Mm-hmm. Which is unfortunate. These dominate attacks also attack the spectral shields, which is a very limited resource in Commoner.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So that means at least 4 will be blocked, so 3 will be taken, if they choose to block, of course.
Right. And that's one of those hard decisions, but a lot of the times these decks cannot make use of all 4 cards.
Yep.
So it's usually right to at least block 1.
Yep. 100%. It's a tough place to be, but Courtney is playing very well for being a new player.
Absolutely.
Yeah, being able to put that out there. I do believe Prism is actually a very accessible hero to be able to go out there and for new players to be able to try, out of all honesty.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And it'll help you focus on the importance of blocking. You're not a hero that just dumps their hand onto the board every turn and takes everything back. You do need to block strategically. Yeah. And I think new players should kind of focus on heroes that do that.
Yeah. So it's a great first hero for anyone that want to pick it up. And I don't think the ability is too challenging to be able to understand. It is one of the more complex abilities where there's a lot of moving parts going around.
But yeah, it's nuanced, the fact that it's an instant, so you could do it at weird times, at the end of your opponent's turn, or technically during their action phase after they've attacked with an attack without go again. Yeah. You could be like, well, I want to make this spectral shield now because you can only do it once a turn and you want to make a second one on your turn or something like that. That's more of a Luminaris kind of thing. Yep. But it'll also help you learn timing, which is important later on with instants and whatnot.
Yep. So we do see the Staunch Response come out. We got a pitch for it, blocking for 5, I believe, and 6. So they're going to squeak in 1 damage, I believe. If I remember the defense for Staunch Response correctly.
Correct, yes. 1 squeaked by.
No.
Staunch is the one that gets bigger when it's in your arsenal, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate that you would just went off.
You see the discard, another Spears of Surreality.
And like this is a situation where you could have maybe pitched to make another Spectral Shield to not take any damage, but
Right.
at that point you're losing your soul and not really gaining anything.
Yep.
So I think it was the right play to just kind of like, okay, I mitigated most of the damage as the Prism player. Now I'm just going to Arsenal and pass and hope your follow-up isn't as good.
Right. Absolutely. Now we could see a couple things here. We have a Herald of Rebirth there in Courtney's hand. So it could be an Arsenal, or it could be, we're seeing the
Okay.
Hearted Cross Trap.
Yeah, try to keep up a little pressure. Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Which I think is a good move. It's good. Especially to eliminate the cost of something. And then we have the Rebirth. That's so weird. The Rebirth.
Yeah, and it's a good one. It lets you put another Herald on top, or another card with Phantasm, excuse me.
Yep.
Which just means you're guaranteed to draw like a War-Tune Herald or something.
Absolutely. And now we'll see if the Oldhim drew poppers, because you are only limited to a certain amount in Commoner. So we'll see if Jim's willing to give out that popper to break it, or maybe we'll see some damage taken as well.
Right, like it could be his only Thump, and he's like, I got a turn where I can buff Thump. I think that's more valuable than popping this.
Yep.
But he does always have the Hammer backup plan.
Right.
I don't think we've seen a pummel yet from Jim.
Jim did block with a pummel early on.
Right.
Yeah, but we don't see one actually get used in action, which it actually is a challenging skill, to be honest, to keep track of cards and what's been used so far. What I've realized is, as I've played more often, like, man, I need to keep track of how many pummels have been used, how many like stuff has been used, because I forget all the time of what's been going on
And what pitch values and
Yep.
whatnot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very valuable skill that'll up your game.
Yeah, if you see one pummel, it's like there's definitely one coming at some point, right? So
Unless they built their deck around that. I used to run chain with one Razor Reflex, and I'd try to show it as early as possible, pitch it or have it get exiled or whatever, and they'd always be worried about that late game. Like, oh no, where's the rest
Yep.
of the Razors? I haven't seen them. And it's like,
yep.
It looks like he just took it.
Oh wow, down to 5.
So I'm guessing this is going to be a pummel turn from Jim.
Ooh.
Because pummel is resource intensive, you know. You
Right.
gotta have a 2 cost. He doesn't have his chess piece anymore, so you're looking at a minimum of 2 cards pitching, plus whatever attack you're playing and the pummel. So it takes 4 cards without like cost reduction from
Yeah.
equipment.
We get to see what Herald Courtney chooses here to be able to put back on top.
Or Spears of Surreality.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because
I
that
forget.
has natural go again, which is pretty good.
Oh, I didn't see. I missed it. Oh, dang.
She didn't pick one.
Oh, okay. It looks like a Spears. I think
Yes.
you're right on that. Oh, or not. It's the mind game.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Because it still is have Phantasm, so it does have go again, but if they pop it, it doesn't matter. Your turn's over.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Prism player does have some built-in. She's got the gloves to turn that off, and she's got time skippers to get an extra action point, though it does cost 3 to activate.
Just verifying the card on Herald of Rebirth. But I'm excited. I do think you're right on the pummel coming out this turn, especially for the hammer there. I think it'll be really interesting to be able to see that. But that will probably even out the score there. I don't know if it'll be able to push enough damage to stop it.
Right, and it's kind of hard because pummel isn't optimized on the hammer, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not getting that discard, but it's more surprise damage. It kind of just matters what's more important to you at that point in the game.
We
Well-
could also see pummel show up on a normal like thump or something like that.
That's
too.
what I'm imagining.
A thump pummel.
Or maybe not, but an attack action and pummel. Maybe like the Aria one that costs 6.
Oh, glacial footsteps.
Yeah, Glacial
Yeah.
Footsteps or something. That could be devastating.
That would be huge. Yeah, because that also you fuse it, gets dominate. It would be wild.
Oh, yeah.
That attacks for 10, I think, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, the red attacks for 10.
Oh.
10 dominate plus
Oh.
4 from a red pummel. I mean, that's magical Christmas land, right? You have to have like a yellow or blue
Yeah.
ice pitch plus the 2 pitch for that.
Yeah.
But it does happen. It is.
No, definitely. Ooh, we got the 3 to play Macho Grande.
Oh, that just has dominate on its own.
There you go.
That's a card that you don't see except for outside of Commoner. Or except for inside Commoner.
Macho Grande?
Yeah. It's a good one. Just natural dominate on it. But it is expensive. Does he have any resources floating?
It doesn't look like it. I think we would have saw some dice up there.
Okay. So maybe that's why he didn't block, is just this was his only option
Yeah,
other
the
than
big
hammer.
move. Looks like they're taking the full hit, going down to 4.
That's a big swing.
Yeah, big swing. Or 3, right down to 3. So that's huge. But, I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like, you either block a little bit or you just try to have a full hand. So we could see time skippers be used here, which would be cool for 2 attacks or having an extra action point.
Right.
But
I think this is a turn she's going to make a shield and attack with that.
hope so, yeah. The shield is the best part. So we're doing 4 go again is huge at a velocity. So we have resources, shield. You nailed it. I think every time we've called it beforehand. So good. We got a resource floating and a spectral shield out on the field.
Love those spectrals.
Oh, so good. Wish we had cold foil spectrals, you know?
That'd be nice.
That would be nice. We have an attack for 4 go again.
No phantasm. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Give me some real cards. Or, I mean, to be fair, Jim could totally just take this drop to 1.
Could drop to 1.
And that is risky, but
I do think that Arsenal, we haven't seen it yet on Jim's side. We probably do have the pummel there to be able to finish off, because having 3 HP left against like younger players, you're definitely going to be able to win just based off the pummel.
right, exactly. You set that up to where it's surprise lethal.
Yeah.
And then, you know, a player can't really afford to play around attack reactions when
Yeah.
they're low life, because if they don't have it, you're just wrecking your turns until they do have it.
Yeah.
So it is a good spot to arsenal an attack reaction and kind of wait
Mm-hmm.
until it's lethal.
Yep. Show that you have it and then play it later on.
And he's still got his gloves for +2 as well.
Oh, that's right. The Goliath gauntlets. That's huge.
And 2 armor. So if he has a popper he's willing to give up, maybe you block 1 or 2 on this attack and then with the armor to keep your full hand and then pop the last attack. But he's always got to be worried about the gloves activating, because if you can't pop the last attack, then it becomes far more dangerous.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's one of those things that I notice it with newer players. They're kind of gun shy on their equipment. They want to leave it until it's like the perfect moment, which just doesn't come up in every game.
Right. I also with like new players too. Like Flesh and Blood, I will say is a hard game to get into in a lot of aspects, because you have so much you're worried about on the field at one time.
So many micro decisions.
Yeah. So when I was a new player, like my equipment did not matter to me at all. Like it mattered, but like I never really focused on it or have strategies around it until I gained more experience.
Right. And sometimes it's the right play in that situation. Just run all Iron Rot.
Yeah.
Be like, my equipment gives me 4 block. I don't want to kind of worry about it. I want to get the basics of this deck down. You won't be necessarily as competitive as every other deck, but it won't affect you too much.
No.
And sometimes it'll actually change the outcome of the game into your favor if you're not going to end up using some of your activatable no block equipment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So like I think it is smart to be able to learn a little bit more to have those easier equipments, because some equipments you just forget about or don't really realize what it does for you. So
it looks like that attack was blocked.
3 block. It took 1 damage. Jim did.
And then popped the next attack.
Yep.
The Herald.
Moving on, let's see. I think this could be it. To be honest, this could be the finale of the turn, but it all kind of depends here. So we see 2 pitch. We have Anthros
With 2 floating,
2
the
floating
telltale sign.
of a pummel.
This is a very unfortunate. At least it's already buffed up to the 6 attack because he pitched 2 cards.
Yep.
But it's one of those, just like an experienced player who has died to this will be screaming in their head right now, "You're gonna get pummeled." But you know, if you've never come across it, haven't seen it, haven't had it happen to you,
Yep.
you're just like, oh, they just wasted some pitch, whatever.
100%.
Block with 2 cards and have my turn.
Yeah, I am surprised. Like to be able to get those cards out of hand, Courtney could have played the phantasmal or the hands there. I forget what they're called, but they could remove the phantasm on that herald that they played, and they could have removed those cards from Jim's hand too.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's just when it comes down to a player not really looking at their equipment. I did talk to her after the game, after I kind of caught the tail end of this match in person. And it's one of those things she's just kind of forgot about them.
Yep. There you go. And here it comes. Is it?
Oh, it's not
No,
a pummel. We were wrong.
Oh, dang. All right.
Called his bluff. Well played.
Well played. I would have been sweating right there.
Oh yeah. So it looks like she took 2 damage, right? And
Yep.
then when the spectral shield was gone.
That leads to some more things. We called it early, guys. Sorry about that.
Still got a game going on.
We still got a game. We have, what is that in there? It's hard to tell what's in that hand, but it doesn't look like.
Is that the card that you have to show a 1 cost or less and you get a Quicken token
Might be.
from WTR?
Yes, it is. Flock of the Featherwalkers.
Flock of the Featherwalkers.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yeah. Best card ever.
I mean, I like it in this deck to give
Yeah.
your Heralds go again. People forget that Heralds don't have go again. That was
Yeah.
Luminaris.
Yeah, for sure. So we got a Spectral Shield.
Okay.
We're going to see another pitch for that. Another blue one.
It is hard to use Flock of the Featherwalkers if you already have an arsenal because it doesn't have go again and you have to reveal a card. It's
Right.
It's not like Belittle where you may. It is a must.
Yep. We have what I like about these is their blue cost. So they were able to not only be able to activate the soul, but also you're able to play your Spectral Shield. And so it kind of can give the Quicken if you really need it, but they're able to play that Herald, which is getting popped here with a thump. Unfortunately. So we had the 4, looks like they took 2. Jim took 2, down to 2, and then popped the Herald.
Right.
Uh,
That
which-
was. I'm sure Jim wasn't happy to give up that thump.
No. But
But-
also, like, if you, that was, again, the item was ignored on being able to play. So.
Right. Absolutely. And I'm just. What card is that in Arsenal? Are you able to see that?
It was a Herald of Tenacity, I believe.
That's
It's
two
or
cost
Judgment
Herald?
or Judgment, one of the two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't a war tune.
Was not a war tune. No.
Okay. Here's the Goliath Gauntlet.
Judgment has the scales on it, right?
Yeah.
Then it was Judgment. It's like glowing head Judgment.
Ooh, and this is an Earthlore Surge
Ooh.
for probably +4, I believe.
And a thump and a dominate. That is a win right there.
Unless,
There's no way.
If she had the D react in Arsenal.
12. Oh. Sheesh, man.
And see, that used his whole hand, so she was able to strip 1 more card.
Awesome. Oh, man. Well, good game. That was exciting
Good
to
game.
watch. We'll do a recap in the studio, but that was a great game.
Great game, yeah. Well played.
And we are back. Man, what an amazing match.
Amazing match. I love to see that Prism.
Prism versus Oldhim was actually really, really interesting. It was very close the entire time. Trading blows. We saw the poppers happen a lot against Prism, and so like as you could see, like there's some skill things that you need to be doing, making sure you use all your equipment. Because I bet that Prism could have taken that game.
Absolutely. The popping the gloves on the last turn potentially could have changed the outcome of the match, but that's something that you learn and you won't forget after that.
Absolutely. Well, congrats to both those players. We're excited to see what they do in round 3. As always, make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying these videos, and we will see you next time.
Take it easy.